beverage. Is this a career or a job category that you've thought of before but wasn't really sure what was involved? Well, today I'm going to share my screen with someone that's very experienced in this area, and we're going to find out all about what you need to do to pursue this as a career in Bermuda. I'm Stephanie Brown, and today I'm going to share my screen with André Roberts from the Loren Hotel. André, thank you so much for sharing my screen today.
Hey Stephanie, thanks for inviting me. I'm excited to just have a chat.
Well, as you know, I'm quite a familiar face at the Loren Hotel, but you've been there, what, coming up to a year now, Andre?
Yeah, I just got here in the beginning of January 1st, actually, 2021. So we're coming up on a year, and it's been a very interesting year, as I imagine, for a lot of people. But just the ups and downs of being open, being closed, and then how do we continue to push everything and stay, stay relevant and have some fun. It's been a very interesting year.
Awesome. Well, I'm sure it's been quite busy as well because I'm at the hotel often and you guys are always busy. So you're doing something right. So thank you so much for your time today. We'll get started and jump straight into some questions if that works for you.
Sounds perfect.
So one of my favorite questions to ask is, how did it all start? How did your career in food and beverage get off the ground?
Well, to be honest, it all started from a love of food. I just love to eat, and so growing up, my parents weren't very big cooks. They cooked, but there wasn't their passion necessarily. Dad's a lawyer, mom's an accountant, so it was for me. I learned at a very young age. I had to fend for myself and discover food and cook as whatever I wanted. So then that kind of blossomed into let's go and make this a job. Let's make this a career. Let's make some money from it. So as you can imagine, going to my dad who's a lawyer and saying, hey, your son wants to go and cook, didn't really go down that well at first. But after some convincing and whatnot, he said, fine, if you're going to do it, make sure you're going to do it at the best of your abilities. So then I investigated universities, and I ended up going to the Culinary Institute of America in New York, which is, some would say, one of the top culinary schools in the States. Well, in the States, the world, depending who you ask.
Awesome. Okay. So you moved from, where are you from originally, Andre?
Originally from Antigua, so I moved from Antigua to New York to do the program there. And along the way, I actually learned that I did not want to cook. Believe it or not, I ended up discovering that I really wanted to be amongst guests and really sharing those experiences and see how the hard work that we do in the kitchen or behind the scenes, how that portrays to the guests and the effect it has on the guest experience.
Okay, so you made the switch then from sort of making the food to front of house and but it was doing the course that kind of helped you make that decision?
Yeah, that's correct. So during the course and then towards the end of it, when I had to do some work in front of the house, I kind of discovered, hey, this is actually kind of cool, kind of fun. I get to be around the guests, schmooze, taste some wine. It's that's kind of where I discovered my calling.
Yeah, awesome, awesome. Okay, so talk to us about how your career progressed from there.
Certainly. So after finishing school there, I was fortunate enough to get a job with Rosewood in New York at the Carlisle, where I was the assistant food and beverage manager, and I just kind of worked through. As a young college graduate, I was managing people who've been working longer than I'd been alive. They've been at the job longer than I've been on the planet. So that was a very interesting challenge. But then just having the drive and the passion for it. It's long hours, it's long days, but you enjoy it. So it doesn't really seem like work. So I worked through that, and then I moved back home for a couple of years with Rosewood still at Jumbie Bay, and then continued with Rosewood into Dallas. And then I was there for a couple of years, again, progressing through the ranks, managing the department for food and beverage at the Rosewood there. And then I got tired of city life again and moved back to the islands. I was in Turks and Caicos for a little bit at Amanyara, one of the Amman properties. And then that brings us to Bermuda in January of this year.
My gosh, so this sounds like a role like you came from the islands and you've worked in the US, you've worked in other islands. Like it's a profession that can definitely take you places.
100%. And that is one of the other things I really love about the industry is being able to, it's afforded me the opportunity to travel around the world for work, seminars, tastings, visiting wineries. as well as going on vacation. Working with some of the bigger brands which have multiple properties, you get free nights. So I've stayed in China, I've stayed in Cambodia, in London, for free. I just had to book
Wow.
my flight. So it's a really cool part of the job is, you work hard, but you get the opportunity to then go out and really enjoy some quality time off and discover new cultures, food, drinks, and it's all part of work, but it's really, I never feel like I'm working, necessarily.
Yeah. It sounds like it was in your blood then from an early age. It's maybe coming from the islands and the different cuisines and things there, maybe?
Definitely. And, I find like in Antigua, as an example, we have a very strong tourism as our main industry.
Right.
So hospitality, you kind of grow up with hospitality, just part of your everyday of life. So that I think, yeah, has been with me from a very young age. And it's just kind of fostered and growed along the way.
Oh, it sounds awesome. Well, I was actually going to ask you what you like most about what you do, but I think you really love it all. Is there anything else that you can share with people about what's so good about this profession?
Definitely. I think it's, you kind of touched on it earlier, is just creating those experiences and those memories for guests. There's many different, I think back over the years, how many proposals I've helped to do and how many weddings I've done. And there's just so many different ones that, none really comes to mind specifically. But there is, so it's creating those experiences both for your guests. But there's one instance which really comes to mind is there was a colleague of mine. We worked together when I was at Jumbi. He started off, young, right out of high school. Um, Not your ideal employee, showed up late, caused trouble here and there, maybe was drunk when he came in, not your ideal, employee at all. But I knew he had it in him. I saw the potential. So I really just kept on him, and really pushed him to do better for himself. And one day, he had to decide that it was time. It was ready for me. I'm ready to turn myself around. And he came to me and said, "Look, I'm ready to take you up on your offer. What can we do?" So I moved him from being a dishwasher to working on the beach as one of our beach servers. And from there, Steph, he just took off. He was a new person almost, cleaned up himself, and such great feedback from the guests and great interactions, and needed a bit of polishing and training along the way, but we were able to do that with him. And now, in a space of about 5 or 6 years, he's now the restaurant manager at their fine dining restaurant at the same place he was washing dishes at, about 5 or 6 years ago. So for me, that's one of the experiences that sticks with me all these years later, just because it's such a cool success story.
Yeah, yeah, no, definitely. That's really rewarding. Well, I'd like I say, can clearly see that you love your job. So if there's someone out there that's thinking of, moving into this kind of profession, what would you say are sort of the key skills that they need to have to do well, Andre?
For sure. I think first off, it's got to be a passion. You've got to really enjoy what you're doing, and love, love helping people and helping to create memories or experiences. If you don't, it's going to seem like work. I mean, we do work. You're standing on your feet most of the day. Sometimes it's in the hot sun. It's on the weekends. It's on the holidays. It's when other people are celebrating. You're helping to create those celebrations. So that's all I won't say bad, but that's the worst of it. But once you have that passion for doing these things, then it's a walk in the park. Just a passion for hospitality, for people. Learning the technical stuff is the easier part. I can teach you about wine. I can teach you about food. I can't teach you how to smile or how to hold a nice conversation with a guest. So that for me is, I think, the most important part is that passion and that drive to be hospitable.
Yeah. No, no, it definitely is. We've all been in situations where we've been somewhere and, provided a certain level of service, and sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad, and it stays with you, and that's the difference between repeat business, isn't it? And I think having managers and leaders around you that really do care and are passionate about what they do, and the right people will shine under that kind of leadership. And I think that's definitely true that I've found with the Loren Hotel. So it seems like you're doing really good things for them over there.
Thank you very much. We're trying our best.
So I guess just to kind of conclude then, if there was somebody out there in Bermuda that was, thinking about starting this kind of career, would it be okay, Andre, if they kind of reached out to you for some sort of tips and advice?
Of course, yeah, they could definitely reach out to me anytime, and love to have a conversation, even if they're thinking about going away to school or working somewhere else. I'm always open to just have a chat. Email is probably the best way to get to me. And my email address is very complicated. It's Andre at the LorenHotel.com. So it's it's pretty easy. But
That's
I'm definitely
awesome.
happy to have a chat with anybody who's interested.
Oh, that's awesome. Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to share my screen today, Andre.
Steph, thank you very much, and I look forward to seeing you soon here at the Loren.
I will be back. So, if you've enjoyed listening to Andre talk about food and beverage, then please do go ahead and share this video within your networks. And hopefully, together, we'll help raise the awareness of the Bermuda employment opportunities. Thank you.